It's the Pete Souza Show. We are so happy to have you. We, of course, are live in Central Texas from the Alico building, high atop on a day where folks are really worried about the weather around Texas, and they should be, because there's concern up north especially. There's a lot of stuff going on that up there as far as schools are shut down in the Dallas area. They're expecting maybe 6 inches of snow. Now, I don't think that's going to come through at this point, but they did wake up to a slight dusting here in Central Texas. I was good. I mean, a short commute for me, but it didn't seem like there was there could be on the horizon. I have to film the Big 12 show today over at the channel I used to work at, KWTX. So King McClure, who is a member of the Rogue Media family, King is not going to travel for that show. We're going to have him live via Zoom. This is for the Big 12 show. But we were talking about, like, there's concerns like, will we even be able to film our show, because there could be like breaking news around the weather. So everybody be safe. It seems like it's kind of that time of year when you see what's going on in California. It's like, oh, your heart aches, and now you want to make sure everybody's safe here. But we have we do a really good job of, like, overshooting the mark, preparing people for weather like this, which is, I guess, is what you have to do. Not only does it, one, drive ratings and generate clicks, but two, it keeps people safe. So I guess it works out. As for today, the first thing I want to report / share and then get into, the Cowboys overnight, as of last night, the Cowboys, all their assistants became free agents, which is like, this is, again, one of those, like, clunky deals where, you know, Jerry Jones is taking his time, which he can do that. He's the boss, but he does it at his own risk. Like, you know, if you're in charge in life, we run into this with people as well. You make decisions, and you understand these are decisions you can make because you have the autonomy, authority, or whatever, the ability to make these decisions. But when you make the decisions now, you're responsible for the consequences. So Jerry Jones doesn't want to be rushed, and he wants to take his time and think about what he's going to do with Mike McCarthy. By all accounts, that's clear. That is what is going on. Well, by taking his time now, you've got other teams that are asking to interview Mike McCarthy. The Bears did. Their request was denied. After the 14th, that's Tuesday, Mike McCarthy will be a free agent, so he can interview with whoever he wants. But right now, you know, hot names like defensive backs coach Al Harris is somebody people are crazy about. Well, he can get poached by another team right now. He's a Cowboys assistant that could be taken away. Mike Zimmer. By the way, congratulations, Mike Zimmer, on your engagement to a model. That is something that just congratulations. I'm sure he's happy. I know I would be happy. And then so you got Al Harris, who I mentioned is a hot candidate. Mike Zimmer also is a candidate, right? Like, a great coach. Clearly has some, like, he's got some riz too. So that's a guy you might want around the team. So these are things now that, like, Jerry Jones is going to have to, he'll just have to live with, regardless of what happens. What do you got, Scotty? I can tell when you got something to say.
I'm just chuckling when you say Mike Zimmer's got riz, man. He and Bill Belichick.
They both got riz.
What are they? What's in their water, man? We gotta figure out.
Well, look, there's something that, you know, there's a trait that it takes to lead men and to be a leader and to have that charisma.
That's true.
That's an attractive quality. I've always said this as a young man. I'm no longer a young man, but when I used to turn and see a successful man with a beautiful woman, or a woman who I found, you know, beauty's in the eye of the beholder, attractive, I had a period where maybe I was insecure, where I used to get upset, like, oh, that guy he's got deep pockets, you know, he's got money. At the end of the day, that's part of the package that women look for. So you really can't begrudge that. Like, security is very attractive for people, you know, so as is the riz.
Well, I think to your point, maybe the kind of men who are confident enough to pursue beautiful women are the kind of men who also are confident enough to go make a lot of money or be successful.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah. Those go hand in hand.
And have the confidence in the esteem, like a guy like Mike Zimmer does, like a guy like, of course, Bill Belichick does. So whatever, way to go. Bill Belichick, I still say, a little much. Like the little Mac, that woman is a lot younger than him, but whatever. All right, but I do want to take a look around the NFL because I think this is so neat. This was a report from Yahoo Sports. Just going to do a quick read here of who NFL teams are interviewing. So let's start with the Jets. The Jets are interviewing 14 people for their head coaching opening. That's exhausting. When you consider these interviews can last days. Aaron Glenn, obviously one of the hottest names, Lions defensive coordinator. Matt Nagy, the Chiefs offensive coordinator, former Bears head coach. Brian Flores, the Vikings defensive coordinator and former Dolphins head coach. The Brian Flores thing is so interesting because you can say whatever you want about his like dealings with the league and the way he left the Dolphins, but it's clear this dude can coach his ass off. So be on the lookout for Brian Flores. Who's the guy that's on Thursday Night Football? Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzpatrick is always taking shots at Brian Flores. I don't know enough about that situation, but it's like, just chill, dude. I feel like every time I turn around, Fitzpatrick is talking about how he was a dictator in Miami. Flores was. So that was not a pleasant experience. Whatever. Josh McCown, who just seems like years ago was quarterbacking for the Eagles. And I think it was the 2019 playoffs when who got hurt at the time? Carson Wentz was hurt. He ended up being our starter when we lost to the Seahawks in the wild card. Anyways, now he's coaching for the Vikings. He's their quarterback's coach. He has interviewed for the Jets job. Arthur Smith, Jets interview. Mike Vrabel, Jets interview. Ron Rivera, of course, we know Rex Ryan did. Brian Griese, there's a name for you. Yeah, that's right. Former college football analyst, NFL analyst, and San Francisco 49ers quarterback coach. Vance Joseph, Broncos defensive coordinator. Wasn't he the head coach of the Broncos too for a second? Vance Joseph?
Yes.
He was.
Yes, he was.
Okay. Bobby Slowick, Texans offensive coordinator. Joe Brady, Jeff Ulbrich. He's the Jets interim. Steve Spagnuolo, the Jets defensive coordinator, and Darren Rizzi. All of those have interviewed for the Jets job. All right, the Bears reportedly will interview 14 people. Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel, Brian Flores, Arthur Smith, Pete Carroll. There you go. They requested Mike McCarthy, denied. Ben Johnson, Thomas Brown, Anthony Weaver, anybody else of note. David Shaw, the former Stanford football head coach, and he's a senior personnel executive for the Broncos. So that's an interesting one. And then the big one, Scotty texted me about this last night, Matt Campbell interviewing with the Bears. That is, I think that's a super interesting interview. And I'll be interested to see what happens with that. I would imagine just because of the region of the country, like right away, that kind of makes a little bit of sense, right? Like Matt Campbell staying in the Midwest, coaching for the Bears. For some reason, that clicks a little easier for me, as opposed to you telling me that Matt Campbell was interviewing for the Giants job. All right, the New Orleans Saints, 8 candidates. Right, the Saints, they don't like to spend too much money, so let's not have a million guys come in here. Aaron Glenn, Mike Vrabel, Joe Brady, Mike Kafka, Anthony Weaver, Kellen Moore, David Shaw, and Darren Rizzi. The Patriots don't appear to have a cast quite yet. Mike Vrabel, Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Byron Leftwich, and Pepper Hamilton. So that is interesting, or Pep Hamilton, I should say. Pepper Hamilton is a law firm, and they are. And then the Raiders. Remember Pepper Hamilton? That was the independent firm that
I remember too well.
Yeah.
Any Baylor football fan,
and they're based out of Philadelphia. Okay, so the Raiders, of course, they are in the mix now, and they've looked at Ben Johnson, Aaron Glenn, Steve Spagnuolo, and Todd Monken. And okay, so this is one thing. Okay, we just mentioned all these teams and all these coaches, like the usual suspects who are being interviewed. Again, if you're a Cowboys fan, like you kind of have every right to be like, what the F? You know, like Scotty, what do you think about that? You're a Cowboys fan. I just mentioned literally every viable coaching candidate on planet Earth in the NFL, and now if you don't, honestly, rational thinking, like I'm not a general manager. Sometimes I think when I see some of these decisions, I think I could be.
Yeah.
And I don't think that I'm splitting atoms over here as far as football is concerned. But I mean, just simple logic tells you the Cowboys could be missing the carousel spinning, and the Cowboys, all these coaches are getting off, and the Cowboys might not have an opportunity at the guy they want at the end of the day.
Yeah, it's really disappointing, and especially when like there's so much talent. Like there's so much coaching talent right now and guys like Ben Johnson at Detroit who like it's just a matter of time before they are a head coach and likely successful, you know. I think the Cowboys might have had a real shot at Vrabel before the Patriots got in on this stuff. Like there's so much talent and to keep, I mean, I've ranted about it here before, to stick with Mike McCarthy, who, you know, there's one argument that says, well, he won a Super Bowl. And there's another argument that says he had Aaron Rodgers and he only won one Super Bowl.
Aaron Rodgers in his prime.
Yeah. Like Andy Reid would have won 5 with Aaron Rodgers. You know what I'm saying? So like it, you know, it's really frustrating. And it's really, it feels as it has felt for 30 years, like Jerry Jones wants to be mediocre in his decision-making, but elite in his product on the field. And that's not how that works.
Yeah, no, not at all. No, it's, and I think that this is like, we're coming up towards, this is again, like we talked with Cam about this when like the dysfunction within these organizations is real. The fact of the matter is the Patriots, if you're really, really getting down to it, should have fired Gerard Mayo before that last game and had somebody who they trust throw that last game so they could have had the number 1 pick. Now they have the 4th pick.
Yeah.
You know,
incompetence.
It's like you traded the number 1 pick for nothing.
For nothing.
You know, I mean, really.
Maybe now you use Joe Milton as some bait to get a piece because he played so well, but like that's not worth giving up the number 1 overall pick.
No. So that is dysfunctional as far as the front office and ownership is concerned. And what we're seeing with the Cowboys, once again, is like dysfunction. So the great Bill Parcells quote, which he got from his father, I finished this book about Bill Parcells this summer. And he said, my dad always said, never discount stupid. It's always in there somewhere. When you see something crazy, and it's true, like, remember, these are humans making these decisions. And that's why fans, I think, sometimes lose their minds. And I think that I'm a big, like, trust the organization. They wake up in the morning. Jerry Jones puts his first foot on the ground trying to win for the Cowboys, right? He does. He's not trying to lose, but his way of getting there is not necessarily
doesn't work
linear.
And here's what I'll say about Jerry Jones, and it ties back to what we talked about Tuesday with his appearance on Landman. Is
Landman? What's Landman?
Landman. Sorry. We're a morning show now, Pete. I got to wake up here. No,
man,
dude,
let's go watch some Landman. Okay.
Dude, here's the deal. Jerry leads, and I relate. I'll just say this before this is a criticism. I relate to Jerry in this. I am like Jerry in this. Jerry leads with his heart and not his head.
Yes.
So why do you bring Zeke Elliott back instead of signing Derrick Henry? No other reason than that sense of family.
Yeah, we're going to do it. We're going to do it.
We drafted him and he's ours.
Yeah, he's drinking some Johnny Walker Blue over the summer. He's like, we're going to do it.
Yes. Why do you pay Dak Prescott like he's Patrick Mahomes? Well, because we found him in the 4th round and we've stuck with him, and that's my guy. You know, why do you stick with Jason Garrett for so long? Why do you stick with Mike McCarthy in this scenario? All of it is because he's like, dude, well, I got to be loyal to my guy.
I so relate to you. And I'm just like you. Like, if somebody comes into my orbit that I like and trust, I will, at the risk of my overall growth, sometimes be like, okay, like, this is my guy.
Right.
This is my person.
And I think in life, by the way, that's not usually a bad strategy.
Yeah.
Like loyalty and deep friendship and those kind of bonds go a long way in life.
Yeah.
When you are the GM, Jerry the owner, I'm cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Jerry the GM, that's not how you run a successful football team.
No, it's not. And that's how Belichick stayed afloat and stayed atop of the NFL.
Right.
Like getting rid of like cutting
he was the opposite.
Lawyer Malloy. People were like, what?
Yeah.
Like he was the heartbeat of this team. And it was time for Lawyer Malloy to go. And that was it, you know, and they move on in the right direction. There were other specific instances I'm sure that Cam could give us, but he continued to do that. It was really smart and shrewd.
Yep.
And by the way, when you do that, you're not the most popular guy in the building. But look, I mean, if it's a popularity contest, Jerry Jones isn't winning that either. I mean, like, so, right? I mean,
well, again, Jerry reminds me a lot. I'm going to make a weird stretch comparison with some Baylor things here. Jerry in some ways reminds me of Kim Mulkey, where when he's in your corner, man, you love Jerry. Kim Mulkey. That's what people said about Kim Mulkey. Man, when Kim Mulkey's for you, there's not a better ally. But if you're not one of their people,
it's so funny you mentioned that. I did like a little bit of a mini like deep dive on Kim Mulkey last night because I was watching the Baylor women's game, and I was thinking about Nikki Collin and then how she took the job and how tremendous her job has been. The job she has done has been. Nikki Collins been like, you couldn't have asked for a better replacement. She's coached her way out of Kim Mulkey's shadow. Really. I mean, she has. I mean, Kim Mulkey is still.
I think there's a large segment of Baylor fans who would disagree with you.
Well, look, no.
I resonate with what you're saying.
Look, it was the best choice you could have made. Nikki Collin didn't knock on the door of Mack Rhodes' office and say, hey, fire or get rid of Kim Mulkey. I'm going to be the right replacement. That's not what happened.
Right.
Like the school made a decision separate from hiring Nikki Collin to sever ties or to leave Kim Mulkey out, like or whoever tells the story. It was not a pretty ending to the marriage. So then of all the people you could pick, I think Nikki Collins probably one of the best you could pick to fill her shoes as a person and as a coach. So kudos to Nikki Collins. But I was doing the deep dive on Kim Mulkey, and it was like, God, she was so good. I mean, so good as a coach and as a steward for the school. And I guess she got a little bit out of pocket, and that's ultimately what happened.
She's a big person, a big personality.
Yeah.
Pete, what I'll say, Kim Mulkey, legitimately, I don't think this is a hot take. Third best women's basketball coach ever.
Yeah. Well,
ever.
Yeah.
Like, behind Gino and Pat, she's on that level. Like
I mean, totally agree with that.
And so that's why I think I said I resonate with what you're saying with Nikki. To replace that and have so much success is huge. There will always be a segment of Baylor fans who remember having the argue, likely like third top 3 women's basketball coach of all time. And you don't replace that. Like no. In some ways that is irreplaceable.
No, you don't replace it. And you're right. Like there is a very good reason for fans to be like, hey, what the heck? We had this, but it was just too much for the school.
Yeah. And we talked about this a few weeks ago when Griner was honored. I am hoping there's a day when those two parties can make up and Kim can get her flowers here, beyond what's already been celebrated.
I think she will. Bobby Knight went back to Indiana.
There you go.
So like I
time heals a lot, right?
Time heals a lot of wounds. Yeah. All right. We got a big interview coming up, right? Yeah. It's right now, right, Scotty?
He's not in here yet, but he should be here any minute.
All right. We're going to talk Notre Dame. I can't wait. Penn State. That's tonight, folks. And if you're in like the North Texas, Central Texas area, like, man, what a great excuse. I mean, you should be right in front of the TV at 6:30. I mean, you got nowhere to go, nowhere to be. Be safe, stay at home, watch the college football playoff semifinals, and we're going to get into it after this short break. The Pete Souza Show continues after this.